We are live. This episode is brought to you by Archon Mounts. They are the mounting solution for everything from cell phones to iPads to, I don't know if you're a forklift driver, truck lift. Do you truck lift? Archon Mounts, go to archon.com and they have everything you would need for your brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max with the titanium bezel with the Type-C charger. Go to archon.com, Archon Mounts. Maybe you're a content creator. Maybe you have a DSLR camera, or maybe like doing TikToks where they've got everything you need for your camera. Maybe you're an action camera guy. You have GoPros, or maybe you just need some help in holding up your devices. Go to archon.com. Don't forget at checkout to put your promo code Hawaii for 20% off your entire order. Our new merch just came out. Also, if you go to my website, therealglo.com, link is in my bio. Click on swag. We have the brand new coho salmon non-GMO flavor long sleeve Aloha shirts, as well as the brand new baby blue long sleeve with the Aloha slapped on the chest. Maybe you have simpler needs. Well, we got the black as well. Also, check this out. If you have somebody that is having a bad day, get some of these Aloha stickers and just slap it on them without saying a word. Just slap it on the car or whatever they got and just walk away. Aloha stickers are also available. And also, if you got yourself a nice, cute little doggy, we also have doggy shirts. Look at that, brother. Yes, this is, I think it's a button up. Honestly, I don't have it yet, so we got to get some for our dogs. But get some Aloha for yourself, your family, and your dogs, and for your random friend that need to slap Aloha on their, vehicles or whatever. Go to archon.com for your mounting solutions, but also go to my website where you can get your brand new merch for yourself and your family. I think that is it. Let's fix the cameras, play around with it. This is my wife. I'll introduce her in just a second. If you look at the title, it says that I married a hot Hawaiian Puerto Rican. But this is my wife. She is she's not my pillar, Jesus is, but she is definitely my side-by-side companion for life. We've been together for 24.9 years. So we'll be 25 years pretty soon. Do me a favor, guys, repost this, share this out. We are live on X. I'm brain farting. YouTube, it's right there, and also Twitch as well. We'll be back in about 30 seconds with a hot Hawaiian Puerto Rican. Look at my wife sneaking some water when the camera's off. I want to just say thank you to Shirley. Good to see you. Also, Brother Derek out there in Australia. I think it's Australia. The cool thing is that this is a global platform. Like there are people like all over the place, and that's cool. It's good to see you, Shirley. You got Brother Derek. So I apologize to my ex-family. I can't post up your comments and show you off to the world just because Elon hasn't adopted the ability for us to put comments on screen yet. But we see I have my iPad right here next to this device thingy. What do you call these things? Computer screens. So I'm doing this because my wife and I just got out of a meeting and a business meeting, a mentorship meeting. So I like doing it after these because I feel good. I feel good about myself when I do these. So my wife, this is my wife, Emily. I'll let her talk in just a second, but I've been with her for 25 years. She's Hawaiian, Puerto Rican, and a little bit of other Polynesian. We have 4 children, 4 beautiful children, and we're just blessed to do life together. And she's like, what are we going to talk about? I have no idea. I just want to show you off. So, honey, you want to say hello?
Hello.
Oh, we got to unmute. There we go. There.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
She's not a front end camera person. She's actually my back end whenever we do our church live stream. She does all the graphics and things like that. So there's a lot to talk about, actually. w- we for those of you that don't know, my wife, I'll share this story. This is the first story off the top of my mind. This is how we do this. But the first story,
Hi, Shirley.
oh, here you go. Thank you, Shirley. Look at that. That's why Twitch family, you guys are champion. I can put your comments up on screen and also YouTube. Twitter family is too.
Thank you,
But
Shirley.
this most recent story I will share is that for those of you that don't know, I keep saying this over and over, and I apologize for those of you that have heard this story. The reason why we're in Oregon for a season is because my brother got sick, and I was flying here back and forth for a few months, and then my wife and I, well, we had already made the decision, but it was a process, and we brought our whole family here. We brought our three remaining children. Our oldest daughter
Was
was
in
in
college.
college, graduated in the Boston area, and three kids. Brought my mother-in-law, who's a widow, and then our two dogs. Uh, and I remember we're going through the town, and she was crying, and I ended up crying because it's just not home. And radical. And I used to live in the mainland as a kid, so I know what it felt like. But still, this is the first time as a father, as a husband, to be the head now to lead my family in this next chapter. Anyways, amongst that crying, is that the right? In the middle of the crying, she made a statement that I can understand if this is something we have been planning for years and we had set our goals and sights on this. But the fact that we're here in this context, it's hard. And that really hit me because it's like, oh wow, okay, I get it. Because for me, it's different. It's autopilot. It's like this is my brother. I love him. No, I'm going to be here for them. So yeah,
Hi. Nice to meet you.
but that's the story. One of the stories I want to share with my wife. And right now, honey, from that moment to now, how would you say your feelings have they changed? Has it been?
It's still hard for me because, like I said, I didn't choose this. This is not something that the main moving up here wasn't a choice that we decided to make together. It was out of necessity,
Mhm.
out of an emergency, and being a people of culture, it's not.
Hawaiian culture or Polynesian culture?
Yes,
Yeah.
Polynesian culture is not an option, I want to say, because it's family. Um, you know, uh, what is that movie, Lilo and Stitch, when they talk about, Ohana is family,
Yeah.
right? You're never forgotten, right? And for me, um, it wasn't that kind of a thing. But I grew up in the islands. It's my home. My family is there, and culturally growing up that way, it's different. I mean, it's been what, 40 something years of living on the island and never moved anywhere.
2027 to be accurate.
And
I'm kidding. Okay.
if I ever moved, it would have been to a different island. I've traveled the islands back and forth because my family lives in Maui. My family lives in Kauai. My family lives on a big island, Molokai. Majority of my family lives on Molokai. So it's different, but one of the things I want to say, even though I miss home, and um, I cry a lot because I miss home, because it's you don't just it's not just about missing home, it's not having family around.
Mhm.
I was just having a conversation with one of Greg's family, because we call and we talk, and it's different because we're not home. Holidays are a little bit harder because even my kids are so used to have family around that it's different. I grew up around my whole family. I mean, there were summers that we would spend at the beach because we would go camping, and there would be like 100 of us. So it's different. It's a different culture. We have family here. not saying that we just don't have family in Oregon. So to see family, we have to travel to
5 hours.
either Washington or to
Colorado.
Vegas or to Colorado, which, is nice when we're there because you don't just enjoy family, but you spend quality time together. And one of the things that I remembered was now when I was looking back and reflecting on the Egyptians and Hebrews, when the Hebrews left Egypt, it was a challenge for them, right? But then it talked about them desiring always to go back when things got hard. And my desire is to go home because, of course, home is where your heart is. Because of family and everything, not trying to return to the same space that I was in, but then remembering that to be present in the moment. I do long to go home. I mean, but it's not something that I long for 24/7. It's not, something I often think about, but I'm always remembering to be present in this time and not desiring the things that I don't need to be desiring at the moment because I can't change the circumstances that we're in currently. So it doesn't make sense to go back there. But what I can do is enjoy where I'm at. Even though I miss home, it's enjoying where I'm at and learning to enjoy where I'm at. Of course, it's a culture shock, freaks me out sometimes because it's very different.
They don't believe in rice over here,
Yeah.
and the rice they believe in is radically different.
So last night that was our dilemma because we ran out of rice.
Our entire world stops. We fight. It's a friendly fight, but we literally fight if there's no rice in the house. So I gotta go to the store. So if we're cooking dinner, no, I'm not even. And I'm paraphrasing, but my wife was like, I'm not even gonna cook nothing until you go get the rice. And literally, that's literal. So that's how important, the rice is. Just talking about the food and the culture. One of the culture shocks too is that there is no. It varies, right? So if you live in San Francisco and LA, then usually the big cities have a much more diverse. But where we are, this is a very I don't want to say it's small town. So, and even though we've traveled a lot, quite a bit, none of that really means as much as it does actually being home. I shared with you guys some videos or photos. So we went to we have a vacant lot on a big island that our dream and goal is to clear it out and build something to where we can go back and even rent out as an Airbnb as well. But even being there and breathing that air is so special. But when we come back, we miss that, So I can't imagine life without rice, and neither can my husband. It's important. Yeah, there's water.
Rice and fish.
Hey.
Fish is a big one.
Yeah.
I grew up eating raw fish all the time. I know how to clean fish. My uncle then would go fishing, and then, they just throw the fish inside the sink, and you gotta clean it. And they teach you how to clean it. Tell you, okay, now you gotta clean.
I tell you what's funny. Oh, it's not funny, but when I watch, and this happens in Hawaii, so it's not just here, but when I see different cultures on how they prepare fish. So the Filipino in me, so I'm Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino. My wife is Hawaiian, Puerto Rican, Samoan, and a little bit of Tongan, Maori and Tongan. But the majority of her is Hawaiian. She's 49%, legit, 49% Hawaiian. And so, but anyways, in our culture, typically when we eat a fish, we eat the whole thing.
It is not as fresh.
Yeah. Is that Pete on YouTube? Brother Pete? I think that is.
Aloha City Flyer.
Yes, sir. Sometimes I brain fart with names, but sometimes the avatar. And then to my ex family, I see you, Brother Kalani. Thank you. And I'm looking over here because I see your comments on the screen, but I can't pop up the screens on my computer. But yeah, so the whole idea of fish, when I watch people, they'll cut the head, the tail, they'll throw everything away, and all they save is the fillet of the fish. I'm like, oh my god, my Filipino grandpa would like roll in his. Oh, Graham. Oh, bro, I'm so sorry. Yeah, thank you, brother. Yes,
Same how we would cook fish when we would scale the fish. You know, you take out what you want to eat raw or what you want to flash fry. You don't like fry, flash fry, and then you take the bones, you take the tail, you take the head, and you put it in a soup. Now, as a kid, I don't do it anymore. It's been a while, but my mom still does. We'd fry the head. Sometimes you can make soup with it. Sometimes my mom would make, or my grandma would make fish soup. Um, but we would fry, when we would fry the head, we would eat the eyeball, which was juicy when I could remember eating it. It did taste good, but I can't bring myself to eat it now.
well, usually, depending how it's cooked, if it's deep fried fish with the eye, it usually has is a flavor to it, like the fatty of the oil, but also if it's salty. Because I would suck on it as a kid. Like I would fight my grandmother for the fish eye. We'd always fight over and it doesn't have a specific flavor per se, but more of texture. But it'll soak up whatever flavors you've got.
So it did taste good.
Yeah. But sorry, I'm putting up some comments. So, but thank you again to my ex family. There's some other things I wanted to talk to my wife about. I'm gonna brag about her. That's what I do until I remember. So, for those of you don't know, obviously who my wife is or what she does, she's always behind the scenes. She obviously a mother of 4, 5, 6, technically 6, yeah, if you count the 2 miscarriages. So technically she's a mother of 6. 2 of them are just in heaven. And in this chapter or in this season of her life, one of the things, actually this is when we were back in Hawaii, she felt led to go back to school. So now she's about to graduate with a bachelor's in business administration, but actually working on her master's, which is going to be another year. So I'm throwing it out there, bragging on my wife. She's actually stressed right now because she's got to finish some courses. So
I got a project that I got to finish.
So how would you explain to people what you do school-wise? Like, what are you doing this for?
School-wise, well, I felt the Lord tell me to go back to school, and it's not something that I would have thought of on my own because, yeah, I mean, I went to school already, but it's a different, and it's completely different. This time it's for business, and so I really just felt like if I'm going to go back to school this time, or if I'm just going to go back to school, period, that I need to make sure that I'm actually going to go back to school and I'm paying for it. So make sure I get the grades.
So she, straight A's, right?
Yeah.
So she's getting straight A's for the past 3. Oh, actually, so she's accelerated. She's doing. So if I'm not home, for example, if I'm not home at night, so she does her motherly duties, whatever, cook, clean, whatever. I'm not saying that's what mothers do, but being a mom and also helping with family. And then when everything is done, or throughout the day, she's doing schoolwork. So our sleep schedule is very erratic. Not erratic. It's not erratic. What's the word? It's very.
It's not a 9 to 5 schedule,
Yeah.
so it's not a 9 to 5 sleep schedule.
But we'll pause on your thought. So Shirley said, I would love to see Emily make lao lao.
Yes. So some of because we live in a small town that's not really culturally diverse, there's not much of the things that we would normally eat back in Hawaii. And the same thing, like when my grandma and them came over from Puerto Rico to work in the plantation fields, it's the same thing. So when my grandma and them would make patele, it's not the same as you would make patele in Puerto Rico because we didn't have the same ingredients. So in order to get some of the ingredients that we need, we have to travel to Portland. And there is a
Hung fat. It's called
hung fat. So it's Vietnamese grocery store, but it has a lot of vegetables that we normally would eat. So we got to travel over there to see if they have some. when they do have some,
Well,
like the first time we had someone was like, get me 6 bags.
and it's about the same price. I don't know where they get theirs from, but in Hawaii, obviously, we get it locally. So, for those of you that don't know what lao lao is, it's a
The luau leaves is what I was talking
yeah,
about, where we get it. And well, even sorry, honey, but even here, to get pork fat is not
not the same.
yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, they throw it away here, most of it. Like, different markets, obviously, but in terms of like just trying to, so lao lao is a native Hawaiian or ethnic dish where we get. So I'm sure a lot of you know what taro is. You've seen taro chips, and so if you look at the taro chip, it typically has a white texture,
Purple
white
with
base
purple
with purple
veins.
lines and veins. That's why it has a purplish hue. Well, if you take the whole root, it's usually about like that, small, big, whatever. But the leaf, the stem and the leaf is what native Hawaiians will use. Like, they'll stack it, put meat inside, wrap it, and then they'll steam it underground or cook it underground. It depends on. There's different methods, but that's like a staple for, I'll just say 1,000 years plus. Yeah, I don't know how far back our native Hawaiian cuisine goes back, but
right, because you'd use every part of the plant.
And so it's hard to get here just because there's nobody knows what it is. They don't care. It's not that they don't care. It's just it's not easy to make, and it takes a while. It's a lot of work. But we figured out a way to do it. So there are markets in Portland, the Portland area. Hong Fat is the Vietnamese. Yeah, the taste is phenomenal. You know what it is, and even in the South, surely and it's not the same. But like when, growing up when I was a kid in the South, when they make their collard greens with the ham hock and they let it simmer for hours and hours, and that flavor, it's something about cooking something slow that's deliberately, meticulously cleaned and all that stuff. There's something about the food like that.
Now, culturally, when we made lao lao back in the day, now you can steam it in the steamer. We used to have a imu in our backyard, and it's this underground oven that you make, and you put lava stones, wire, and you put your food on top. Then you got banana leaves, and then you got burlap out bags, things to cover it and stuff. And that's how you would originally cook the lao lao or kalua pig, stuff like that would be in an underground imu. Versus now it's easier because you can put it on a stove in a pot. But you still got to watch it. I mean, it's 10 to 12 hours long. Some people cook it for 8, but once your throat starts getting itchy, that tells you that you need to cook it longer.
And maybe next time clean on better. I got to give a shout out to Brother Joe. He's on X. Brother Joe is a fellow local brother from Hawaii. He actually from Kailua.
Aloha, Joe.
Joe is my wife, Emily. So Brother Joe, I don't know how many years it's been since you've been back, or actually I know you've been back this year, but so on Kainalu where we lived in Kailua 27 years, but on Kainalu Drive, right across the street from where our house was the Warner family. Their name Warners. Yeah. Their name is not secret. So they made the best like smoked meat. Well, I won't say the best, but it was right there.
Smoked meat, pickled onion.
Yeah, pickled onions. Yeah.
Ooh, yummy.
Going back to what my wife was talking about, how before let me pause for a second, just to kind of give a precursor of what's happening. So, guys, I have, and if you know who this is, don't cheat and give it out. But I'm going to make a promo post to promote this. But I have a tsunami survivor that I'm going to interview on my next podcast. He's a tsunami survivor. He has some challenging physical things in his body that makes it harder than, well, for him it's not hard because he's done it for so long. But anyways, I'm going to be interviewing a tsunami survivor. I'll be sharing who it is in the upcoming days. And then I just met with our mentor, Dr. Vanessa Battle, who is, I didn't even know this, but she is an ambassador to the United Nations for something. So that would be cool to have her. She'll be on after Thanksgiving. So I'll do some promo for that. But going back to my wife, bragging about her on how she's getting straight A's and working on her master's degree in this chapter. I will say, I want to encourage, I want to leave room for encouragement for anybody that is on social media and maybe you are creating content, or maybe you just want to like just share a part of your life, but you still have a life outside of, you know, social media. That I would encourage you to share something that is really on your heart and something that you really care about, and not just post up something that will get you numbers or views. You know, because right now my viewership numbers may not exemplify my audience, but the truth is people have schedules, people have a life. So they may watch this later when they have time. I'm gonna upload the audio to Spotify. When they have time, they're gonna put it in the car, they're gonna listen to it. So that's what I would encourage anybody that wants to put content, and if you have a life. And going back to my wife, with all the things that she does, she still makes time to be a wife. And I'm not going to share details, but I'll share this to hopefully that it edifies somebody. There are going to be times when, for me and my wife, she'll text me, and basically she misses me, I miss her, but we don't communicate that organically sometimes. Like, I'll be out of the house. I'm like, what the heck? Say it when I'm home. But the truth is I wasn't home, and that's where her heart begins to feel differently. And so my lesson for that is just be very aware and mindful of what you've got in front of you, you know, and take the time. So after we're done, we're going to spend a little time organic. Yeah. So
Getting back to school before I forget.
yeah.
Um, the purpose for me going back to school, there was a reason. You know, it's not just that the Lord had put it on my heart to go back to school, but it's to and being in school is to learn everything that I can about business, because this is the avenue that we're in now, is to open up, you know, not just open up businesses, but to understand, you know, everything about business, so that when we do open up business, that, you know, it's that we're not that we're understanding how to do this, and not just going in it blindly and then, you know, everything just kind of falls apart and you learn by trial and error. I mean, although you still will learn by trial and error, but this way you can understand more of that aspect. And so the other thing is, you know, in homeschooling my kids, I'm teaching my kids that we want to open up businesses. We don't just want to be the people that that work, but we want to create an avenue for business where we want to open up businesses. We want to be able to create an avenue for other people to do the same thing. But I don't want my kids, you know, culturally, how Hawaii was back in the day. That's pretty much what they did. You know, they had their own land, and, you know, they built stuff on their land, and whatever they couldn't do, they would barter, they would trade. You know, Hawaii is very different dynamics in the way that culturally is how we grew up, or how we've been taught, you know. And I want to teach that to my kids. So I've been teaching my kids, you know, these things culturally. Even my grandma, you know, growing up the way that we did grow up, we was always taught doing something, you know, and always taught to do something well. It's my grandma's famous saying is to do things well. So that when you leave a place, she would always say, leave a place better than the way that you found it. That was always her words that always stuck out to me.
I came home last night or is it came? I don't know. I was already home. I don't know when I come and go.
Thank you, Shirley.
My daughter came up with a contract. Is it a contract?
Yes.
So she came up with a contract, and it's a month. Is it a monthly contract?
It's a monthly contract.
A monthly contract for her services rendered, and it's for business. And she's 14. Oh my gosh, she's 14. I thought 16. She's 14. And so because she does my daughter knows how to cook already. Like, she cooks every day. she also prepares meals for our dogs. So if you don't know how our dog is, I promise you, our dogs eat better than you and me. They eat fresh beef every day. Matter of fact, we got to go to the store after this so we get some more food for them. But anyway, she cooks for them, prepares their meals for both of the bulldogs, and then she cooks a lot for us because it's just we're a big family. So, and then she's very entrepreneurial. She knows how to knit. Is it knit? Is that what you call it? Crochet
A
knit.
crochet.
She's made dresses. What else has she made?
She made a skirt. She made a
Boots? No, not boots.
jacket,
Jackets.
like a cardigan. She made socks. She made a shawl.
Yeah. No, the dogs do eat, bro. Those dogs eat fresh beef, raw. Before we knew what was good for them.
Yes, my dogs eat well.
So let me share. Okay, we're gonna land on the dogs for a second. So throughout the history of our dogs, they've eaten raw beef, raw chicken, raw pork, raw salmon. They love it all. If you've never given your dog raw food, they love raw food.
All of our dogs.
All of them. Like, and I think any dog you give any, as long as it's clean and healthy, and you know how to prepare it. Dogs love raw food. They love it. Like there's something about the way dogs are created. They love. And if you're only giving cooking for the president, yeah. So I'm not judging anybody because I totally get it. It's a financial situation. Like not everybody can afford, to spend that much. But yeah, our dog, and then we would even give them raw chicken bones too. Not bones, but chicken drumsticks. And but
Now, our dogs do eat vegetables too.
oh yeah, so celery, carrots, apples,
sweet potato.
sweet potato.
Because sweet potato is good for them. We went to the pumpkin patch and we got all these giant
we got
pumpkins.
pumpkins for months.
But we made pumpkin treats for the dogs. So we make our own what do you call that? Treats for the dogs. So we use the pumpkin, from that.
Pumpkin soup,
pumpkin
bread,
curry.
pumpkin curry.
But my daughter's been baking a lot, so she's been making a lot of pumpkin, like pumpkin roll.
Pumpkin is good for their digestive. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
their gut health.
What were we talking about before we stopped on the dogs? Zoe. So Zoe is very entrepreneurial. She is our second daughter. Our oldest daughter, I'll be honest, I don't know what she graduated with because I never really kept up. My wife knows more than me. But so my daughter Zoe at 14 is already drawn up her own contracts for work, for business. So that's exciting. Her prices were too low, but that's okay. Yeah.
We're talking about prices, so she's adjusting. She's adjusting her price.
So I would encourage any parents in here, like I get it. Like we're excited when the kids go to school, so we can go holo holo, as we say in Hawaii, go do our own thing. But we've been homeschooling for 9 years now, I think, at least 9 years. I would challenge any parent in here to consider teaching your own kids. If you can justify, if that's what you feel led to do, I would encourage you to do that because that is one of the most rewarding things, even though it's hard sometimes, knowing that our kids are learning what we desire for them to learn. Yeah.
But we only got them for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, you only have them. So I did the math for a friend of mine on social media. You only have your kids for 18 for 900 and you have them for 936 weekends. That's it. So if you have a jar, and we went to a church where they did, I went to a church where they did 2 jars. So when they dedicated a baby, they get in 2 jars. Aloha, Texas. What part of Texas?
Aloha.
Yes, sir. So the jars, as a matter of fact, the jars I'm talking about was in Texas, believe it or not, in Holiday, Texas. So when they dedicated a baby, they would give these jars of marbles. One jar had 936 marbles, the other one was empty. And so the concept was every weekend you have with your child, you take one marble, you put it in the other jar. By the time they turn 18 and go to college or they leave the house, that's all you've got. And as they get older, the marbles begin to transfer. And that's all we've got. San Antonio, nice.
Depends on culturally, it's different for us.
Yeah.
But we want our children to be successful. So, you want to, even if you don't have the ability to homeschool your children, right? Even though, your kids go public school or private school or whatever, invest in your children, invest that time with them so that they make good choices. Um, you never know because tomorrow's not promised, right? My nephew just passed away a year ago, and he was young. Got into an accident. Him and his girlfriend, they both passed away, and
On impact, motorcycle accident.
you can't get that time back. But you want to teach your children when they're young, and you want to teach them how to get a business, how to function in their purpose. That's what you want. You want them to have a purpose to function in, whether it's whatever gifts, whatever their talent,
Surely.
whatever their talent is, because they'll move in that. So, except for my one son.
Hey, Shirley, let me share this story. And my wife always cautions me to be very wise in what we say, because it's once it's etched, it's etched. But I think any parent can attest to this, and maybe you've experienced this. Let's say I forget how many kids you have, Shirley, but I have 4. And so if my children, or I'll use myself as an example, I would call my parents when I'm not, I'm out of the house with family. And I know my dad thinks, why is my son calling? Either he wants money, or he needs help, or he needs to sleep or something. And so I totally get it. We've had recent conversation with one of our daughters, and when she calls, the immediate, as a father, your heart is, I haven't talked to you in a while. What do you need? Like, that's just my heart, right? Like, and maybe it comes out wrong. Like, what do you want? I didn't say it like that, but like, just the concern is like, I don't want my kids at home at a place where to limit them. And there's nothing, because like Hawaii is very multicultural, right? That's just how we are. Like, we have, at one time it was me, our family. Actually, we're doing it now. Yeah. Well, we don't have grandchildren.
Always taking care of.
Yeah, we always take care of family.
Kids.
Yeah.
My whole life, I've always been taking care of kids, but I'm good with it because, you can give them back whenever they're done. Culturally, that's who we're always been. We're even growing up, we always had room for family in our home. If somebody was struggling, if the parents were struggling, we always had room for kids to come in. And then, when their family's better or whatever they walking through, the kids go back. It just kind of
That's true.
was always like that for us, and we've done the same thing.
Actually, yeah, because, and this is a public story, we've shared it on our church broadcast too. When a family member, a sister or brother is going through a tough season, like, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we're here with Bryson too.
Yeah, bring your kids. Look, what, like, kind of like, why didn't you tell me that you don't have enough to buy groceries? Get your butt over here. Let's make you I'll bring something over. He was wise to work 2 jobs and save money. He's very respectful. He has his wife independently. See, a mother's heart, mother's love, right? That's just, yeah.
That's
so
good.
Actually, when we got married, we lived with my parents for the first year and a half, and before we moved out. So I totally get it. I'm going to read this comment on X. So I ran into gLO in space yesterday. You had some profound advice here. Thanks for sharing your No, thank you. I'm going to click on you.
I cannot see.
Emmett, brother Emmett. No, thank you, brother Emmett. So if I'm looking to the other way, not in camera, Emmett, is that Elon hasn't approved us to have comments on our live stream, StreamYard. So, but thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Right. Children are a blessing from the Lord.
Yeah. Going back to the no-brainer, like, when my brother got sick, it was just, I didn't make the decision, obviously, without my wife, but it was a no-brainer. Because my brother's not married, he has no kids, he had no support system. It was just him. My dad wasn't doing well. My dad was sick at the time. It was a no-brainer.
And it's only the both of them.
I guess what it came down to at that time was, okay, it's a no-brainer. He's my brother. He's all I've got. We're going to figure this out. in the meantime, let me fly over there. Let's figure out, assess what needs to be assessed, and figure out what's the next step. And I will say this, family, like my wife, she's not she's not under me. I'm not, I'm not the head of the statue. Is it statue? She- you know, I'm not the head of the statue. Um, I'm not over her. I'm not behind her, but we're literally side by side. Like, although here's the funny thing about that though, I am the head of the home. Uh, I like to think physically, spiritually, patriarchally, whatever that is,
Patriarchy.
patriarch. But she runs the home. She manages the home, because if I manage the home, the clothes won't get fed, dishes won't get washed.
The clothes won't get fed.
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna feed the clothes, brother. The clothes won't get folded. And the kids won't get, no, the kids will get fed, but they're gonna get fed. Hey Karen, good to see you. The kids are gonna get fed, but they're gonna be fed like top ramen and hot dogs.
Oh, Karen.
But no, I cook though. I cook really good. I ain't gonna lie, I cook amazing. But my wife cooks even better. Yeah. She can't, my wife can actually cook for a family. I can kind of cook for myself and maybe a few other people, because I like to make it fancy and all the sauces. And the problem with my cooking is that the whole kitchen is dirty.
When we first got married, it was hard for me to cook because I wasn't used to cooking on a small on a small level. I was so used to cooking for a lot of people. So we'd have a lot of leftovers.
Speaking of food, check this out. So in Hawaiian culture, native Hawaiian culture, not just Polynesian culture, but I'm going to say native because we're native Hawaiian, predominantly. In Hawaii culture, when I go to your house, you better believe I'm going to bring food for my family and for your family. That's just what we do. I don't just bring chips and crackers and salsa. Like, what the heck? No, brah. If I come to your house, you invite me over, I don't care what your customs are. I'm not going to disrespect you, but I'm going to bring food for my family and for your family, enough for us to eat. That's culture. That's what we do.
In Hawaii, that's always been our culture. So if we're going to eat at somebody's house for dinner, or we've been invited to a party, we never go empty-handed.
Well, the other flip side of that is not because we want to be respectful. I don't want to go home hungry. I don't want to have to stop at Jack in the Box on the way home because there wasn't enough food. And we've been to people's homes here in the mainland. We love them, God bless them, but they don't know how we eat, or
It's just different.
It's different. So
culturally, it's different.
Eating is never about the meal.
It's a fellowshipping.
Yeah.
So we always, when we were back home, we would always go and eat. I mean, we always go and eat, but we would always have Thanksgiving with family and different family. And we always end up at Rachel's house, which is Greg's cousin / sister. And we would just hang out. So we would come, everybody would bring food, and there was always more than enough food, because that's, culturally, that's how we are. And we would just sit and eat and talk and eat and talk and eat.
There's shifts. Okay, so give it a perfect. So if you go to, you guys know Rachel, if you've been following us long enough, Rachel she's her and her husband Jared, they pastor church in Honolulu. That's where we had our conference back in February, March. Anyways, when we go to their house, they literally have food for days, and the reason is that Rachel's dad and my mom, brother and sister, they didn't have a lot. My wife gets bad when it's like they didn't have a lot of money growing up, and that's a true story. So they didn't have a lot of food, and they were always fed. So now that everybody's grown up, you have your own kids and all that, we go overboard. Not in a negative, bad way, but it's like I want to make sure that there's enough. And so if you come to my house or Rachel's house in Hawaii, when we have food, like, so let's say at your house you have a dinner table and you have a kitchen counter. No, not in Hawaii. We have a dinner table, a kitchen counter, and you have another table, minimum one white fold-out table, and another table for food. Because
So the tables are not for you to sit down and eat.
They're for the food.
The table is only for the food. The chairs are for you to sit down and eat and hold your plate while you're conversating with family and talking, and it's just
And there's
I
always
haven't.
music. It's like Puerto Rican
Yeah.
households are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like in typical local Hawaiian culture homes, there's always ukulele, piano, or something.
Yeah.
Because that's just how. Because it's never about it's never just about, hey, let's have dinner. Like
It's about fellowshipping with one another, and
and the ships happens like this because our families are so big and everybody lives on an island. That means if you don't let them know, they'd be like, "Oh, how can you never tell me you had one yesterday, birthday party?" Because we're only 45 minutes to an hour away from each other. So the shifts happen because not everybody can show up at the same time. So
mm,
guess what? The food is always on the table. First family eats. The new guys come in and they eat, make their food. They sit down. Guess what? Family number one is still hungry, so we go back and make another plate. And then of course, we do our Instagram videos. We share this what our family does. Do the social media update. Look at all this food.
and make sure you take food on the way home.
Yeah, and then the last shift is everybody takes the Ziploc gallon bag and they fill it up. Okay, so that's kind of how, like in our culture, that's how we eat, right? So taking a gallon size bag, making sure that you have something to take home. So, but while she's not here, I'm gonna real quick kind of let me fix my camera angle. Oh, it gets so bad. But I'm gonna take a break to just announce one of my partners. Mental health is a legitimate issue. Sorry if it sounds like an ad, but I am doing an ad. Mental health is a legitimate issue for those of you that kind of had a hard time during the pandemic. I think the pandemic had one of the most toughest chapters in a lot of people's lives in regards to mental health. And if that's you, and maybe you're still going through some stuff, I want to encourage you to go to National Center of Counseling Services and Training. That's Dr. Terry Lynn Kim. She is a clinical psychologist. This is their web address. I'll put it up on there. What I don't want is for anybody, if you're in a dark place in your life, I don't want you to feel like you're alone and you don't have anyone to talk to. But go to nationalcentercst.com. They have a little fill out form that you can put in your information. Let them know that you saw or heard about them on this podcast. It's nationalcentercst.com. The founding, I want to say member, but Dr. Terry Lynn Kim, based out in Las Vegas or Henderson, Nevada, also in Hawaii as well. So she operates out of both states, but also multiple states. I think she can practice in both. But also they do have an online consultation service to see where you're at. And so if you're in a dark place, maybe you don't have anybody to talk to, go to nationalcentercsc.com and let them know that you heard about them in this podcast. So that's it. That's something that's very near to my heart. Like just meant like if you look at my Twitter or my X account, and I'm not going to talk about it today because I'm still processing, and I'm going to throw this out there, let it stew for a minute, and when I'm ready, I'm going to talk about it because there's still some legal proceedings that I need to consider. But I witnessed a shooting on Friday night this past weekend. First time I've ever witnessed an actual legitimate shooting, and I'm still walking through that. I'm not experiencing anxiety or fear, which is very strange. Not strange for me, but it's just I would have expected something different, but I wasn't afraid. I was very cautious, and I'm not going to describe all the details about it because I need to consider the legal part of it because just who was involved. But what I witnessed on Friday night was the first time I've ever seen. I believe in personal protection. I believe in protecting your home, your family, and all that. But this was not in the home. This was out in the street. This was in a parking lot. And what I witnessed was a group of individuals that I did not recognize. And um, in hindsight, I would have exercised more wisdom in the place. So I was basically eating dinner and I hung out in the parking lot while in Hawaii, we say kanakatak, which basically means like a food coma. So going through all of that, and now I'm looking back 4 or 5 days later, I'm like, okay, I don't have any fear and anxiety, but my heart was broken, and it still is broken for the city. And for those that are trying to put like a pin on the map, it was in the Portland area. And I shared with my mentor today. We had a business meeting, and I said, I don't have any anxiety or fear. I don't have nightmares. But what I saw was very horrific, and my first instinct was like to begin to pray over the city because I just felt so heartbroken that this is happening. But the other thing that I don't know why that popped up. Let me get rid of that. Sorry. But the one thing that really hit me today was, why is it that a local brother from Hawaii, tiny little rock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, for some reason ends up in the Portland area of Oregon and witnesses a shooting like that? Why, like, why me? And those are some heavy things to ponder and to walk through. And so I'm going to be talking about it eventually on here, because it's never, one thing I will say, life experiences for me are never just for me. I want to document, journal, share with people that maybe you've been through something, maybe you witnessed that, maybe that's why I put up, the National Center of Counseling Services and Training for people that mental health is an issue, because it is legit that we go through things that, like, my wife loves me, I love her, but the truth is there are some things that I am not equipped to walk her through. Now, I'm still her husband and companion, but there are some things that I'm not equipped to navigate through for her. So, but anyways, we'll talk about that. I just wanted to promote that, and just to remind everybody that there's my. I'm stalling for time in case you're wondering. I can't find a remote for this light. I don't know what happened to it. Oh, it's right next to me. But I was stalling for time. I just want to reset the room real quick for those of you that are not following uh, me on this account. Be sure to click that follow, repost this if you can, share it out. For those that don't know, this is my wife, Emily. We've been together for 24.9 years. It'll be 25 years in July, August. I say July, August because we started going steady on July 1st. Yeah, going steady, bro. Yes. So, um, I was just sharing mental health. So I think we'll land it pretty soon because it's getting up in that minute. After we're done, I'm going to upload this audio to Spotify. So if you're one of those that likes to listen to like cool people talk on Spotify, I'm one of those cool people. So I'm just kidding. But okay, we're landing the plane, honey. Any last landing remarks? Seatbelts,
I don't know.
no
What were
smoking
you
sign,
sharing?
just mental health. Yeah, I think that was a good place to land.
Mental health.
Yeah.
It's good to take care of your mental health and talk to somebody.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
With reader comment, I found there's always an answer to why me. It may not come immediately, but we ultimately know. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think when I say like why me, I already know, like it's not like, oh, how come I gotta go, it's not like how come I gotta go through this, but it's more like, what am I gonna pray for? Like what, like
Yeah.
when I called my wife that night, it was like, I don't know what she was going through at the time, but for me I was like, I guess you could say shock, like, and great. I just, when I was praying, I was like, I really experienced some gratefulness. Like, okay, God, I'm just grateful that I was able to drive away. Yeah, and understanding, right, and vision. Pray for, like, okay. Sometimes when God shows my wife something or shows me something, and I'm sharing, I'm putting on our pastor hat for a second, but I don't have a percentage, but I'm just going to throw a fake number. But let's just say 7 out of 10 times, it's never to publicly expose anything. Matter of fact, 100% of the time is to pray when God shows us something. And I think the Apostle Paul shares a lot in I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 12 about the gifts that are freely given, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the saying that he uses is to not be ignorant. Let us not be ignorant. And when it comes to when God shows us something, is to not just put it under the rug. I think I share with you, I said, what did I say? And he said, don't, not hide it. What did I say? Compartmentalize. What did I say?
Yeah. No, I said, don't compartmentalize and not deal with it.
Yeah. Because I've when the last time I did that majorly in my life, I got shingles. What the heck? I had shingles at 36 years old. Like, who gets shingles? And so I figured out it was stress that I had suppressed and continued on. So I wanted to make sure I don't do that, So in regards to that whole mental health, I always include spiritual health as well for those of you that are believers, making sure that your mental, spiritual health are, I hate using this word, but they're in unison with one another. Like, there's a clear connection. Yeah.
There's this man that was in business. His name is Jim Rohn. I don't know if people know of him, but he made this statement and it always stuck with me since I heard it. It was, don't wish for it to go away, but wish you were better. And what I got out of that statement was that every time that I am in a situation, um, it's not wishing that situation would go away, but how can I deal with this situation? And that's the biggest thing I want to say with mental health. When I've had a lot of challenges with mental health, and one of the things was the fear of dealing with it would be more hurtful than the pain that I was feeling at the moment. But then when I started dealing with the issues, I realized fear is the thing that keeps you from actually dealing with it. Because when you're fearful, it doesn't actually make what you're fearing real, but is what you're fearing would happen.
Yeah.
So when we deal with the situation and then you realize, it's not that big of a deal. It's not as hard as I thought it would be. That was always my thoughts. It's not as hard as I thought it would be. And it's just not just dealing with it, but dealing with my emotions too. So it's sitting and saying to myself, okay, how do I feel about this situation? Why do I feel that way? And how do I get past this? Those are the three things that I've learned in many things, like in dealing with my dad's death. I was 19 when my dad died. In dealing with my nephew's death. Just so many issues. My sister, having miscarriages, just dealing with those issues so that I wouldn't turn back and go back into doing what I did before.
The mind is so powerful. And let me tell you, I always try to mix up legit, serious conversation with some light stuff, which is ironic because my wife is usually the funny one. But the mind is so powerful, Shirley, and I will agree with you because as a kid, I swear, even to this day, that King Kong lived in my hallway. I don't know how, but he literally figured out a way to hide in the darkest corner. So at my house, growing up in the Big Island in Hawaii, we had a long hallway. It's really long. And as a kid, it's long. I think it's still long now as an adult. But anyways, every time I had to go bathroom because we would watch. So let me show how old we are. So I would watch Happy Days live. Okay, we would watch Happy Days live. We would have this table in front of the TV with the wooden box TV with the turn dials. We would watch Happy Days. But every time the commercial break would come, I would run into the bathroom because I had to go bathroom. And the reason why I ran because I didn't want to miss the show as it came back. But also, I knew that King Kong was hiding. He was waiting for me. I would run to the bathroom, make shishi, come out, and I'd open the door, I'd look around, and I would run because I could hear I'm going to do the sound effect. I'll hear and I was so terrified of him in my hallway. And even like at night. So I know I'm not the only one, but you ever had the blanket reset button? You guys know what the blanket reset? So the blanket reset button is when you get in your bed and you have your covers right here, and all of a sudden you see the boogeyman under your bed. Oh my God. What do? You put the blanket over your head and you wait for a couple of seconds and it resets. And you pull it and he's gone. That's the blanket reset button. I'm going to read a comment from Twitter real quick. The mind, so powerful because it can shut down the pain. And I have tried this a year ago. Imagine that. That's a good, that's an interesting concept. That is from Albadari Alotaibi. I'm sorry if I butchered him, but thank you for the. Hey, Jody. Jody's on Twitter. Jody is on Twitter. Yeah. Or X, sorry. I hate saying X because I feel like I'm being naughty. I think that's what Elon did on purpose. Like, just make them say X so they can sound naughty or like they're in the X list or whatever.
The Kepalo. Kepalos are always in the dark.
Say it louder. The what?
The Kepalo.
The Kepalo. What is Kepalo?
Kepalo is the spirits. They're always in the dark. That's what I used to run. Because we used to have to go sometimes outside, and where we lived, it was pitch black. So you have to, it's like, you know how when you have those marathons and people are getting ready? You got to get ready to run to that switch to turn on the garage light before the Kepalo game.
I mean, let's be honest. How many of you as a kid, right? You went in the hallway, and if you heard this, type up one in the comments or thumbs up, whatever. But this is what you hear when you go bathroom, and then when you turn around, it stops. As soon as you turn, you hear it's like, bro, this is.
And your siblings stay on the wall. They stay pounding the wall.
Talking about mental health. I'm telling you, watching Poltergeist was the worst thing my parents could ever show me. My parents took me to the theater to watch Poltergeist. Yeah, like who takes their kids?
Crazy.
Yeah, Poltergeist. And let me tell you the image that even to this day is stuck in my mind. There was a guy eating. No, he was washing his face. All of a sudden, maggots started popping. I don't know why I'm saying this, but on his face,
Ew.
and it was gross. Anyways, that.
Speaking about TV in the box.
Yeah,
I raised my hand because I was the one who was the remote controller before remote controls. I was a remote controller. I was the one who had to sit next to the TV and turn the dial.
Shirley had good parents. Look, I could not watch. Well, that's good, Shirley, that you had good parents. Like
my parents wouldn't let me watch that kind of stuff, but we always watched war movies, which was weird.
My dad took us to that. As a matter of fact, when we interview the tsunami survivor, so for those that are jumping in, I'm going to be interviewing a tsunami survivor who survived a tsunami in Hawaii in 1960. And so we're going to interview him. We're also going to ask him some parenting questions on why he took his kids to watch rated R movies of horror things.
So the funny thing is, my nana would put it on TV. My parents would allow us to watch it on TV, but we had all the war movies. Like we would watch. We would go watch Rambo. We would watch all these gory war movies.
No. Rambo was good. Rambo was good for raising children because it taught us to be tough. You can't. This whole toxic masculinity, it's fake. Because if you grew up in the 80s, it was either Rambo or Commando, which was Rambo or Commando, which was
what is toxic masculinity to me? Masculinity is not toxic because that's who you're designed to be as a man.
I think it's a political term they use. Oh. I mean, anything can be toxic if you put
toxic femininity.
Yeah. I know a lot of toxic femininity.
Tell my grandmothers that.
They will lick you, bro. They will.
Oh yeah, they'll show stick.
You. Yeah, or a pot. So my grandmother, she never. Only once she threw a coffee can at me, but it was well deserved. I didn't watch a movie since maybe 20. Wow, that's crazy. So my grandmother would use clothespins, and she put it on her ears and she let it sit there. I don't know how long. As a kid, it felt like it was forever. But she would throw coffee cans at my auntie Alicia. It just, yeah, that's
she'd be the best dodgeball player around.
Yeah, coffee cans, bro. No, they weren't full; they were empty coffee. But which is worse because I think you can throw them faster. I think, but anyways.
Because they're light? Yeah. I don't know. No? I think the ball is heavier.
What ball? What ball are you talking about?
I'm talking about a dodgeball ball.
Oh. What the heck? Okay, we're going to land the plane. Just as a reminder, I'm going to put it up. Well, I don't have to put it up. I'll just put the link. Since we're talking about mental health, one of our partners is National Center CSC.com. They are a I don't even know what so bad. Dr. Terry Lynn Kim, she is she's a licensed clinical psychologist in Nevada and in Hawaii, but she also does online consultations as well. So if anybody feels like they're in a dark place, you don't know who to talk to, go to nationalcentercst.com. Let them know that you heard about them in this podcast. And we just want to make sure we get that out there. I don't want to leave without sharing that. So I think we are good. You good, honey?
I'm good. It's an hour.
Yeah, I know. Just as a reminder, this episode was brought to you by archon.com for anybody that needs tripods, mounting solutions. I don't have any with me, but go to archon.com. Be sure to put Hawaii at checkout for 20% off your entire order. And that is it. Guys, so upcoming guests, we have a tsunami survivor who's going to be in the next 5 days or so. I think 5 days. We're going to interview a tsunami survivor. I'll put out all the graphics here on X, but also on all social media platforms. Probably not on Instagram because everybody, I know who that guy is. So if you know who it is, don't cheat. Don't tell everybody who it is. But I just want to leave it a surprise. And then after Thanksgiving, we're going to be interviewing Dr. Vanessa Battle, who is, I just found out today, she is a ambassador to the United Nations for something. I can't remember. I won't read it. But I appreciate you guys, honey. You want to close out now?
Thank you, Shirley. I know, right?
Yeah.
I like this.
We're very grateful for each and every one of you on X My X Family. Thank you for watching. For those of you that are going to be watching a replay because you're busy working, you got a day job. Thank you for watching on a replay.
Thank you for listening to us.
And thank you for listening. We appreciate you guys. As I always say, thank you for your time, your hearts. For those of you tapping on the screen, your mobile devices on X, you can still tap on the screen on X. Thank you for your hearts, your data, all the good stuff. And most importantly, thank you for your time above everything else. You can be doing anything else, but you chose to be here, and we are grateful for that. And I don't want to go a moment without saying thank you. We truly appreciate you. As I always say, love you guys. God bless you guys. Ahui ho, aloha, and mahalo. Yes, sir. I added yes, sir, and then nobody knows. All right, guys.
Aloha.
Aloha.